We welcome you to the Liam and Lucas Bible Podcast, and today we're in the book of Proverbs.
We are going to be discussing Proverbs that have touched our hearts and that we have found effective and can be used very helpfully throughout our life. Proverbs is a book full of wisdom and songs, and there are many stories and lots of knowledge that can be gained through its verses. And one of them is Proverbs 3. This book offers direct and practical wisdom with an emphasis on God's blessing for those who follow his ways. As it says in Proverbs 3, verses 13 to 15, "Blessed is the one who finds wisdom, and the one who gets understanding. For the grain from her is better than grain from silver, and her profit is better than gold. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing desire can compare with her." What this verse is trying to say is that when you find God's wisdom and meditate on it, you find God's blessings and what he's trying to show you in life. And the reason why wealth is not nearly as good as wisdom is because wisdom, you gain spiritual wealth, and also you gain long life and honor, which is what this verse is trying to say. And yes, that is.
Okay. The first proverb I'll be talking about is chapter 1, verse 7. "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." So when we fear God and keep his commandments, and we see the ultimate reality of life, we see that really the Bible is the ultimate foundation of knowledge and not any other way, because it doesn't even really explain reality. When people that believe in evolution or something, that don't believe in some sort of explicit purpose in life, they might see humanity as just like some sort of as just meat, really, is how they say it. But they say that and they write it, and then they go back home to the people they love, and it doesn't really connect, because how could you have such a brutal view of people and at the same time have these people that you love so much? And it doesn't explain that. But when we read the Bible, it shows us that God made us, and he made us in his image, and that's why we have love and compassion. And that's why this says that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, because it sets God's creation and how he reveals himself to us and his word as the foundation of knowledge and reality and creation. And that's my first verse.
This proverb is probably one of my favorites because I have learned it in many Bible classes, which has caused me to grow a very liking to it. This proverb is Proverbs 9. In this one, it speaks of wisdom and folly as human beings, and that they stand above on pillars calling to you, and you must choose which person you go to have dinner at their house. Wisdom is saying how she has wonderful bread and well-mixed wine, which can be described as having a long and wonderful life and being in God with it. Folly is calling out to you and saying how she has stolen water and bread that is meant to be eaten in secrecy, which can be described as a life of long suffering and not being able to express your life in the way that allows others to help you through it, which wisdom is allowing you to do. And so I ask you here, which house would you choose? Would you choose the house of wisdom or the house of folly? That's my second verse.
Okay. My second verse is Proverbs 2, verse 11 through 12. My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, neither be weary of his correction, for whom the Lord loveth, he correcteth, even as a father the son in whom he delighteth. We're fallen creatures, and we sin a lot, so they're hideous mistakes and abominations to God. But when we're saved, we want to be more like him, and yet we continue to sin. So God corrects us in what we do, and sometimes we have to suffer to get closer to God, because it's in the trials we see that there's nothing else, and really it's just God that's our strength. And even in a human sense, you might remember when you were younger, maybe there was something you really wanted and you're just throwing a tantrum. You're a little kid that wants a toy and they're throwing a tantrum, and the parent has to discipline them. And then that kid grows up, and then they, for some reason, remember that specific event, and they see it's good that happened, because now that taught me so many things, like patience and the like. And that's what God shows us. It draws us nearer to him. There are things that we want and we think we need, but really they would just draw us further away from him. And why would you want to be further away from him when anything that's not of God is void? That's my second verse.
Good. My next proverb is Proverbs 10. Proverbs 10 is a contrast between righteousness and wickedness. All throughout the chapter, it's saying how laziness, power, and the wrong choice of words can affect your life greatly. In verses 7 to 9, it says, "The memory of the righteous is a blessing, but the name of the wicked will rot. The wise of heart will receive commandments, but a babbling fool will come to ruin. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out." How I see this verse is that the one who perverts God's words will be punished, and as it says, will be found out. And then later in the book, it goes on to describe how the rich will be found, and the evil rich will be found out, and will be once they are before God in judgment, they will be found out. Their sins will be discussed, and how they will not be on their way to on their path to heaven. And that's my final verse.
Okay. My third verse is Proverbs 22, verse 29. "Seest thou a man diligent in his business? He shall stand before kings. He shall not stand before mean men." So you don't need to look further than the Bible to see an application of this verse, because there's so many hardworking Christians that stood before kings because of their work, like Elijah, Elisha, Joseph and the Pharaoh. Those are hardworking Christians that they were prophets, that Joseph interpreted dreams, and the Pharaoh used him, and so he stood before kings. The same thing with Elijah and Elisha. The kings sought them out because of their work. And when you look at Jesus' parable of the talents, the servant that didn't do anything was punished, and he was called wicked and lazy. And what little he had was given to the servant who did work. So we need to work for God, because that's the means that he uses to advance his kingdom. And if we don't work, then what is gained? We're wasting God's purpose for us. That's my third verse.
My next proverb is Proverbs 31. This book talks about justice and helping the poor. And it says in verses 6 to 9, "Give strong drink to the one who is perishing, and wine to those in bitter distress. Let them drink and forget their poverty, and remember their misery no more. Open your mouth for the mute, and the rights of all who are destitute. Open your mouth, judge righteously, and defend the rights of the poor and needy." Here it's saying how we should be helping the poor and defend God's people who are in need of help and misery. for example, if you have a friend who you know is being accused of, is with people who are rude, evil at heart, and they are accusing him of, well, just being a Christian in general, you should be there with him, helping him and showing him the right way of how to talk to these people and how to try to help those evil people understand their wrongdoing and how they are in need of Christ. And that is my final proverb.
Okay. My fourth one is Proverbs 25, verse 2. It is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter. I want to tie this into another verse, which is actually in Jeremiah chapter 33, verse 2, which says, "Call unto me, and I will answer thee, and show thee great and mighty things which thou knowest not." So God, if he chose, would choose not to reveal anything to us, but he does through his creation and his word. And they're not immediately obvious to us, but when we study it, it draws us nearer to God, and we see the intricacy of his creation, and where it pulls you further away from the world, and it shows you the beauty and the majesty of the Lord and his work in creation and the gospel. And that's my fourth verse.
And we would encourage you to read Proverbs and try to find all the things that can help you and how a proverb can stick to your heart and guide you through your way in life.
I would encourage you to read Proverbs because of the practical wisdom. And also, it's 31 chapters, so that's about a chapter a day would fill up a month. And that's just every day you'd be filling up your day. You could start your day off with practical wisdom of God. So, thank you.